Welcome to this lecture on the disease Mutrakhata. So, whenever we deal with the disorders of Mutra or Vasti, mainly there are two terms. One is Mutra Krichra, the other one is Mutrakhata. And sometimes it is confusing. So, in the Madhugosha commentary itself, in Madhavadana, he has given the clarification regarding the difference between Mutra Krichra and Mutrakhata in his clinical presentation. Mutra Krichre, Krichratvam Adishayidam, Ishad Vibandha. Mutrakhade Vibandho Balavan Krichratvam Alpamidi. So that in case of Mutra Krichra, the difficulty or dysuria is more predominant than the obstruction to passage of urine. Whereas in Mutrakhada, the difficulty or pain is less, whereas the obstruction is more. So both of these patients, we may get confused between Mutra Krichra and Mutrakhada. So this is one simple technique that you can use to differentiate between a Mutrakhada and Mutra Krichra. So in case of Mutra Krichra, the pain is more than the obstruction, and in case of Mutra Gada, the obstruction is more than the pain. So before going into the disease Mutra Gada as such, because there are several types or classifications of disorders that are included under the spectrum of Mutra Gada. So in order to understand what all these disorders are, we may have to go through some of the modern terminologies and conditions to understand the disorders explained in the chapter of Mutragada in a better way. So it's better to go and familiarize with some of the urological terms that are used in contemporary practice. If we learn this, if we understand this, then we can comprehend what acharyas have told in the context of Mutragada in a better way. So these are some of the important urological terms that we use in practice. Hematuria, urgency, hesitancy, frequency, dysuria, nocturia, intermittency, post-voidal dribbling, incontinence, hematospermia, and pneumaturia. Hematuria implies that there is blood mixed with urine, or whenever the patient passes urine, there is reddish color or blood in that. So usually a gross hematuria in adults is considered to be a sign of malignancy until proven otherwise. So such patients have to be subjected for all the investigations that are necessary to identify the pathology. Depending upon the phase of the urination in which the blood appears in the urine, it can be initial hematuria. So you have to look for a pathology in the anterior part of the urinary tract. That means mainly the penis or the urethral areas. Terminal hematuria, usually whenever there is blood at the end of the stream, then you have to look for pathologies in the bladder neck or a prostatic source or a prostatic urethral source. And in case of total hematuria, where the blood appears in the initial as well as throughout the stream of the urine, then the pathology may be bladder or the upper urinary tract, as in case of kidney pathologies. Next is regarding the voiding symptoms. So the voiding symptoms can be classified under mainly two headings. One is the irritative symptom and the other one is obstructive symptoms. So voiding symptoms can be classified into irritative as well as obstructive. So these are some of the irritative symptoms or symptoms caused by irritation. So urgency, dysuria, frequency, and nocturia. First, let us look into urgency. The urgency means there is a sudden desire to void or expel the urine. So usually this urgency is found in case of inflammatory conditions like cystitis or hyperreflexic neuropathic conditions such as neurogenic bladders, especially that results from the upper motor neuron lesions. So in these conditions, the patient feels a sudden desire to void whenever the bladder is partially filled. Next is frequency and nocturia. Frequency is the increased number of voids during the daytime, whereas the same thing in the night is called as nocturia. So increased urinary output can happen due to many causes like diabetes mellitus, diabetes insipidus, excess fluid ingestion, or the use of diuretics. But despite the urinary volume being normal, a patient can develop frequency, especially when the capacity of the bladder is reduced, especially in case of bladder outlet obstruction where Usually what happens is, even after the voiding, there will be some amount of residual urine volume in the bladder, so that it fills up easily because of the residual volume. So that is one thing. Another one is, another condition is neurogenic bladder disorders, where the functional capacity of the bladder is reduced. There is another cause, as we have seen in case of pregnancies, etc., where there is extrinsic compression onto the bladder. So usually it's normal in case of pregnancy because of the huge uterus lying over the bladder. But there are other pathologies like masses in the pelvis, malignancies, etc., that can put pressure onto the bladder, so that there is reduced capacity, so the patient presents with frequency. So, and also there are some other conditions. For example, if you take Parkinson's disease, if you take disorders like normal pressure hydrocephalus, there are so many other conditions, neurological conditions, that can present with nocturia. So this we have to keep in mind. Next is obstructive voiding symptoms. Obstructive voiding symptoms can be classified into hesitancy, decreased force of stream, intermittency, and post-voidal dribbling. Hesitancy is a delay in the initiation of micturition. So when the patient gets the urge and patient tries to pass the urine, there is a hesitancy in initiation of the stream. So usually it results from the increased time required for the bladder to attain the high pressure necessary to expel the urine. So that is why, especially this can be seen physiologically when we hold the urine for a prolonged time. So the bladder is completely stretched out, so that it doesn't get enough volume to shrink. So in such cases there can be hesitancy. Decreased force of stream can happen from high resistance, especially in case of stricture of the urethra or other pathologies. So this usually results in a decrease in the caliber of the stream. Next is intermittency and post-voidal dribbling. Intermittency implies there is an interruption of the urinary stream. Usually this is commonly found in males in advanced age when there is prostatic hypertrophy. And there are other pathologies like urethral stricture, inflammation of the urethra, where we can find intermittency. Post-voidal dribbling implies there is uncontrolled release of the terminal few drops of urine, or after the patient completes the evacuation, some amount of urine starts dribbling. So this is post-voidal dribbling. So these all are obstructive symptoms. So we have seen irritative voiding symptoms in the form of urgency, dysuria, frequency, and nocturia. Dysuria implies painful micturition. And also we have seen obstructive voiding symptoms in the form of hesitancy, decreased force of the stream, intermittency, and post-voidal dribbling. The obstructive causes of voiding symptoms include benign prostatic hypertrophy or any other prostatic mass like malignancies, urethral stricture, neurogenic bladders. There are several types of neurogenic bladders which we are going to discuss later on. And there can be foreign body as well that causes obstruction. Next condition is incontinence. So incontinence implies that there is loss of control for the urine, so that there is involuntary passage of urine or involuntary loss of urine. So incontinence can be again further classified into total incontinence, where the patient doesn't have any control over the act of micturition, so that there is passage of urine at all times and in all positions. Stress incontinence usually happens when there is passage of urine whenever there is an activity like coughing, sneezing, lifting weights, exercise, etc. Next is urge incontinence, where there is uncontrolled loss of urine preceded by a strong urge to void. So this happens immediately when the bladder gets filled up, the patient gets a, so this has some similarity to the feature urgency. So urge incontinence. Next is overflow incontinence. Usually this happens in case when the bladder is stretched to the extremes due to extreme retention, and so that some amount of urine starts dribbling out of the bladder neck. So that is overflow incontinence. So incontinence can be total incontinence, stress incontinence, urge incontinence, and overflow incontinence. Next, is a condition called neurogenic bladder. So the bladder, as we know, is controlled by the sympathetic nervous system, and also it has controls from the brain as well. So depending upon the site of lesion in the nervous tract, the neurogenic conditions of the bladder can be classified into uninhibited bladder, reflex bladder, autonomous bladder, motor atonic bladder, and sensory atonic bladder. Let us see what all these conditions mean. First is uninhibited bladder. So usually this happens due to a lesion in the corticoregulatory tract. So that happens in case of cerebrovascular accidents, brain tumors, etc. So what happens here is the patient loses the voluntary control over the micturition. So the patient will have hesitancy and precipitancy. Precipitancy means failure to control the outburst of urine is called as precipitancy. So this we can see in case of patients with stroke as in cerebrovascular accidents. So the lesion is in the brain, so or the corticoregulatory tract. Next is the reflex bladder. So here the lesion is in the spinal cord above the level of S2. So usually the pathologies include transverse myelitis, trauma to the spine, malignancies, conditions like meningitis. So initially there will be a stage of spinal shock so that there is retention of the urine with the overflow incontinence. Later on, the condition gets transformed into an automatic bladder where the bladder can be stimulated by the cutaneous stimuli or pressure of the hypogastrium leading to voiding of urine. So this is reflex bladder. The the important thing that we have to keep in mind is the reflex arc pertaining to the bladder is intact here. The lesion is above the reflex arc, but the lesion is not in the brain but in the spinal cord in the area between the cervical and the S2 segments. So the condition is called as reflex bladder. Next is autonomous bladder. So usually the lesion is at the level of S2, S3 and S4 level. Conditions include congenital causes like spina bifida or meningomyelocele, trauma, infective causes, neoplasms, surgery, especially perineal resections, which can injure the nerves in that area. So what happens is there is loss of bladder sensation and there is inability to initiate the micturition. Again, the patient will learn to void by applying external pressure. So the lesion is at the level of S2, S3 and S4, so that the reflex arc is also impaired. Next is motor atonic bladder. So here the term itself implies that there is a motor deficit rather than a sensory deficit. So when there is lesion to the motor efferents, the bladder cannot contract. The patient feels the sensation of the fullness of the bladder, and even the patient may have pain due to the distended bladder, but the patient cannot initiate the act of micturition due to the loss of motor efferents. The conditions include polio, polyradiculopathies, tumor and trauma. So there is painful distension of the bladder and inability to initiate micturition, and usually there is decrease in the size and force of the stream. Next is sensory atonic bladder. This is opposite to that of motor atonic bladder, where the motor functions are intact but the sensory afferents are impaired. Conditions include tabes dorsalis, pernicious anemia, diabetes, syringomyelia, etc. So there is loss of bladder sensation so that the patient doesn't know when the bladder is full. So this leads to the over distension of the bladder and the complete emptying. Here the emptying happens because the motor part is intact. So these are important classifications of neurogenic bladder. Again, the classification is based on where the lesion is. If the lesion is in the brain, usually it's uninhibited bladder. If it is in the spinal cord above S2, reflex bladder. S2, S3 and S4 level, autonomous bladder. Motor efferents, motor atonic bladder. And sensory afferents, sensory atonic bladder. Next, let us see what Acharyas have told about the condition Mutrakhata. So, if you go through Charaka Siddhi 9th chapter, Trimarmiya Siddhi, he exclusively deals with the Mutraghata there, along with disorders of other marmas. So Mutrogasado, Jadharam, Krichram, Utsanga Samshayo, Mutradido, Anilashtila, Vadavasti, Ushnamarudo, Vada Kundaliga Grandir, Vidvigado Vasti Kundalam, Trayodashede Mutrasya, Doshas Tam Linkadaha Srunu. So he basically classifies these disorders Mutraghata into 13 types. So that is why Charaka and Madhava follows these 13 types. Vagbhata has given two types of classifications. One is overall he gives a 20 types of Mutra Rogas, that is which includes 4 Mutra Krishra, 4 Ashmari and 12 Mutra Ghatas. As such, Vagbhata, if you see, he has classified Mutra Ghatha into 12, but in total he has given 20, which includes 4 Mutra Krishra and 4 Ashmari as well. But Charaka and Madhava has exclusively classified this Mutra Ghatha into 13 types. So the types include Vadavasti, Vadashtila, Vada Kundaliga, Mutradida, Mutra Jadhara, Mutra Utsanga, Mutra Granthi, Mutra Shukram, Vidvighada, Ushnavada, Mutra Kshaya and Mutra Sada. And Charaka and Madhava has told Vasti Kundala as the extra 13th type. So total 12 according to Vagbhata. All these 12 plus Vasti Kundala is the 13 types of Madhava and Charaka. All these terms might be confusing, but when we start correlating these with some of the conditions that can present clinically, this will become more clear to you. First is the disease Vadavasti. So I have included some of the references from Charaka as well as Madhudana and Vagbhata for a better understanding, and I will clarify while I go through each of these diseases. I will try to clarify the confusion that may arise. So in case of Vadavasti, Mutra Sandharina Kuryat, Rudhva Vaster Mukham Marut, Mutra Sangam, Rujam Kandu, Kadajit, Swadhamadaha, Pratyavya, Vasti Mudvrittam, Garbhabam, Stula Viplutam, Karodi Tatra Rubdaha, Spandana Udveshtananicha, Binduscha Pravarteda Mutram, Vastautu Pidide, Dharya Divido Apesha, Vada Vastiditi Smrudaha, Dustaro, Dustaradaro, Didiya, Prabalanilaha. So the Nidana is Mutra Sandharana. So the Vada Prakopa happens which obstructs the Vasti Mukha and causes Mutra Sankha, Ruja, Kandu. And what happens is Kadajit Swadhamadaha Pratyavya Vasti Mudvrutam. The Vasti may get dislocated from its sthana and may lie in the abdomen as if like a garbha and causes Ruk, Daha, Spandana, Udveshtananicha. And when the urine is expelled, it is in the form of Binduscha, drop by drop. And this happens only when there is external pressure is given into the Vasti Pradesha. And it is of two types. One is Dustara and the other one is Dustaratara. That means one is difficult to cure, the other one is more difficult to cure. This happens depending upon the degree of vitiation of the Vada. That is why Prabalanila is told. So this can be classified into motor atonic bladder or autonomous bladder, because here the patient has the sensation or pain and he can only pass the urine when he gives external pressure onto the bladder. So this may be a condition that is resembling, I am not exactly correlating, but this may be a condition that is similar to motor atonic bladder, which is one among the neurogenic bladders. Madhudana has told another reference for this condition. So this reference is from Ashtanga Hridaya, but here this is from Madhudana. Vegam Vidaredyastu Mutrasya Akushalo Naraha Ninunadhi Mugam Tasya Vaster Vastigado Anilaha Mutra Sango Bhavetena Vasti Kukshi Nipidita Vada Vasti Savijnayo Vyadi Krichra Prasadanaha. So here the Vadavasti is a severe condition that is being explained as if we go through the reference of Ashtanga Hridaya. But Madhava says some different presentation. So that because of the Vega Vidharana, again there is a obstruction of Vasti Mukha by Vada, but there is Mutra Sankha and it causes Vasti Kukshi Nipidana. So this is a Vadavasti. This is not a severe condition as the Vadavasti that is explained by Vagbhata. So this can be considered as a retention or a stricture. But Madhava and Charaka has used the term Vasti Kundala for the condition that resembles Vada Vasti explained by Vagbhata. So please don't confuse the reference regarding Vada Vasti or the condition or the presentation pertaining to the disease Vada Vasti explained by Vagbhata has been explained as the disease Vasti Kundala by Madhava and Charaka. दद्रुदाद्व लङ्घनायासैरभिघातात् प्रपीडनात् स्वस्थानात् वस्तिरुद्वृत्तः स्थूलस्तिष्ठति गर्भवत्. See, the same reference is told in the reference of Vada Vasti by Vagbhata, so that the Vasti is displaced downwards. So this is condition is called as Vasti Kundala by Madhava and Charaka. So the Swasthanat Vastirudvruttah Sthulastishtadi Garbhavat Shula Spandana Daharto Bindum Bindum Sravatyapi Pedidastu. So Pedidastu Bindum Bindum Srava happens. Then Samstambana Udveshnarthiman Vasti Kundalamahustam Khoram Shastra Vishobam. Again he classifies this into two types. Pavana Prabalam Prayo Dur Nivarama Buddhivihi Tasmin Pitvanyido Pittanvide Daha Shulam Mutra Vivarnada Sleshmana Gauravam Shodha Snigdam Mutram Khanam Sidam Sleshmaridda Vilovasti Pitto Dirnona Siddhedi Avibhranda Vilas Sadyo Natuya Kundali Gradaha Syat Pasto Kundali Bode Trin Moha Shwasa Evacha. So again he says that this has two types. One is Pavana Pravala, the other one is Sleshma Pravala. And also he says that there is Pitta Anubandha can happen, so that there is Daha and Mutra Vivaranada. And if there is obstruction and along with there is Pitta association, it's not sadhya. If the obstruction is not that much, then it is sadhya. So that is the disease Vasti Kundala. The same reference is told as Vada Vasti by Vagbhata. Next is the condition Vadashtila. Shagran Margasya Vastesha Vayurandaramashritah Ashtilabham Ganam Grindhi Karoti Achalam Unnadam Vadashtiledi Sa Admana Vinmutra Anila Sankakrit. So Vada, Pragupita Vada causes obstruction to the Shagran Marga and Vasti and causes a Grindhi Ashtilabham Ganam Grindhim Karodi Achalam Unnadam, so that there is a formation of mass just like Ashtila or stone, and it causes obstruction to the Shagrat Marga as well as Vasti. So we can consider this as a mass that is happening in the area of bladder and rectum. Some of the experts compare this to the prostatic enlargement. Ashtila, the Vada Ashtila has been called as Ashtila by Madhava. Admaben Vastigudam Rudva Vayus Chalonadam Kuryat Tivrartim Ashtilam Mutra Vinmarga Rodini. So there is Tivra Arti, there is Ashtilavat Grandhi, and there is Mutra Vinmarga Rodha. Next is Vada Kundaliga. So please don't confuse this with the disease Vasti Kundala. The term here is Vasti Kundala and here it is Vada Kundaliga. Vigunaha Kundali Bodho Vasto Tivra Vyadho Anilaha Avishya Mutram Brahmadi Samstambo Dveshta Gauravaha Mutram Alpalpa Madava Vimunjadi Shagrat Srijan Vada Kundaliga Ityeshaha. So here also he says about Viguna Anila, which forms in the form of Kundali Bodho. There is Tivra Vyadha and causes Samstambhana, Udveshtana, Gaurava, and the Mutra Pravartis Mutram Alpa Madava Vimunjadi Shagrat Srajan. So stool also will get passed when because of this difficulty. That is Vada Kundalika. Madhavadana has another reference regarding Vada Kundalika. Raukshat Vega Vigadadva Vayur Vastosa Vedanaha Mutram Avishya Charadi Vigunaha Kundali Gradaha Mutram Alpalpa Madhava Sarujam Sampravartade Vada Kundaligam Tamtu Vyadim Vidyat Sudaruna. So here as such there is no mass, but it's a pathology due to abnormal vada as such. So that because of the excessive rauksha and vega vigada, vada causes problem in the vasti leading to alpa alpa mutra pravarti. Next is mutra adita. Mutra adita, this is nothing but hesitancy. Mutra adita, sorry, mutram tu vidhritam chiram na niredi vibhaddam va mutra adidam tadalparuk. Again, Madhava also says, Chiram dharedo mutram tvaraya na pravartaya. This happens to all of us if we uh, withhold the urine for a prolonged time so that the bladder gets expanded to the maximum. There is no space for it to contract, so that there is hesitancy. Mehamanasya mandam va mutradida sauchyade. Next is mutra jadhara. Vidharanat pratihadam vadodavartidam yada nabheradasthadudaram mutram tada. So because of the vidharana, vega vidharana, vada causes or vada becomes udavartita, so that it starts going upwards, and it causes purana in the nabhi adha pradesha. So nabhe radastad udaram. So this is nothing but a distended bladder. Kurya tivraruk admanam apaktim mala sangraham. Then mutra jadram. Because of the bladder distension, sometimes it may put pressure on the rectum and lead to constipation as well. So this is nothing but a distended bladder, that is mutra jadra. Here it will be palpable for you in that adho-nabi pradesha. Madhav also same gives references in the same way. Mutrasya vege abhyade tadudavarta hedukah apana kupido vayurudaram pured brisham nabhe radastadadmanam jane tivra vedanam tan mutra jadaram vidya adhovasti nirodhanam. Same reference. Next is mutra utsanga. So here the reference is chidra vaigunnena anilenava akshiptam alpam mutram tad vastau nale adhava mano स्थित्वा स्रवे शनै पश्चात् सरुजं वादनीरुजं मूत्रोत्सङ्गः सविच्छिन्न तत्शेष गुरुशेफस. So this happens due to chidra vaigunya. So basically this corresponds to stricture in the urethra, so that there is obstruction of the mutra in the bladder neck or in the nala, that is urethra. Stitva sravet, so that the urine gets expelled with difficulty. Paschat sarujam vada nirujam. So either with pain or without pain. So this is mutra utsanga. Madhav also gives the same reference. Vasto vapyadava nale mano va yasya dehinah mutram pravrutam sanjeda saraktam va pravahada. So whenever there is a stricture in the bladder, neck or in the urethra, the patient finds it difficult to pass the urine. And when he gives force, sometimes the urine may get expelled with mixed with blood as well. Sravet shener alpam alpam sarujam vada nirujam viguna anilajo vyadi samutrotsanga sapnitaha. So this can be compared to urethral stricture. Next is mutra grandhi. Andar vasti mukhe vrittah stiro alpah sahasa bhavet ashmari tulyaruk grandhir mutra grandhi sauchyade. So this refers to some mass formation inside the bladder. So that is why andar vasti mukhe, inside the vasti. So some authors classify this as or consider this as prostatic hypertrophy, but that is wrong, because here the site of the lesion is inside the bladder. That is why Ashmari Tulya, if just like as if Ashmari is present inside the bladder, here also this Mutra Grandhi can cause pain, just like caused by the Ashmari. So that is Mutra Grandhi. Here it happens inside the Vasti. Next is Mutra Shukram. This has some similarity to the Shukraja Mutra Krichra that we have learned during Mutra Krichra. Mutridasya striyam yado vayuna shukramuddhadam स्थानच्युदं मूत्रयतः प्राक् पश्चात् वा प्रवर्तते भस्मोदक प्रतीकाशं मूत्रशुक्रं तदुच्यते. So what happens is, whenever the patient has an urge to menstruate, but instead he gets involved in a sexual intercourse, then what happens is there is vada dushti or vada prakopa happens, and it takes out the shukra, and the shukra gets expelled with mutra. So that is why bhasmodaga pradikasham happens. So this condition can be classified, considered as spermaturia, where there is semen mixed with um, urine. So the presence of sperm in the urine. So that is Mutra Shukra. Next is Vidvighata. Again, this has a resemblance to the um, Purishaja Mutra Kachra, but there is a difference here. Ruksha Durbalayo Vadat Udavartam Shagridyada Mutra Srodo Anuparedi Samsrishtam Shagridatada Mutram Vittulyagandam Syat Vitvighadam Tamadishet. So in Purishaja Mutra Kachra, we have learned that because of the obstruction of the Purisha, there is dysuria. But here what happens is there is an abnormal tract between the Purisha Ashaya and Mutra Ashaya, so that the Purisha gets mixed with the urine. So this can be considered as a rectovesical fistula. So that Mutra is expelled in the form of Vidtulyagandham Syat Vidvigadam. So this can be considered as a rectovesical fistula when there is a abnormal tract between the rectum and bladder. Madhava also say reference Ruksha Durbalayor Vadena Udavartam Shagridyada Mutra Srodo Anupadyeda Vid Samsrishtam Tadanaraha Vid Gandha Mutrayat Krichra Vid Vigadam Vinirdishet. This is the same reference. Next is Ushnavada. Here there is Pitta also involved in the pathology. Pittam Vyayama Tikshnoshna Bhojanad Adva Adavadivihi Pravruddham Vayuna Kshiptam Vastyubastartidahavat Mutram Pravartayet Pidam Saraktam Raktameva va Ushnam Punaha Punaha Krichrat Ushnavadam Vadanditam. So that whenever there is Pitta Pragopa along with Vada involvement in the Vasti, then it causes burning sensation in the Vasti Ubasta Pradesha. So Artidahavat Vasti Ubasta Artidahavat, and the Mutra will be Pida Sarakta or Raktameva and Ushna Punaha Punaha Krichrat. So here also there is Krichrat of Mutra, so there is dysuria as well. So this can be considered as an inflammatory pathology or a pathology that leads to erosion in the bladder. So a patient with erosive cystitis can present with a similar presentation where there is blood along with urine. The patient will have burning sensation, pain and dysuria. So this can be considered as a condition of erosive cystitis. Again, Madhav also gives similar references. Next is Mutra Kshaya. So Rukshasya Klanda Dehasya. So in Ruksha Dehi or Klanda Dehi Vastisto Pitta Marudo Mutra Kshayam Sarugdaham Janedam Tadahoyam. So this can be considered as oliguria because of the reduced intake of fluid, or that is Ruksha Deha or Klanda Deha. Pitta and Vada predominance leads to Mutra Kshaya. So this can be considered as oliguria. Next is Mutra Sada. Again here there is association of Pitta and Kapha as well along with Vada. Pittam Kapho Dvavabiva Samhanyede Anilena Chet Krichran Mutram Tadapidam Raktam Shvedam Khanam Srijit Sadaham Rojana Shankachurna Varnam Bhavechadat Shushkam Samasta Varnam Va Mutrasadam Vadanditam. So this can be considered as an inflammatory pathology that happens above the bladder area, especially in the kidneys. So patients with pyelonephritis etc. can present with such a presentation. So that there is Mutra Krichra, and also the Mutra is Pida, Rakta, Shveda or Khana, and then Sadaha, then just like Rojana, Shankachurna Varnam or Samasta Varnam. So there is a disease Mutra Sada. So that concludes 13 types of Mutra Akhada. So we have to learn the difference between Mutra Krichra and Mutra Akhada and 13 types of Mutra Akhada. We should have some clarity regarding all these conditions because all these terminologies can cause a lot of confusion in our mind. But there are some conditions where we can find some amicable correlations with the modern conditions. So that is why I will try to compile all those things again once more. So Vadavasti is nothing but a motor atonic bladder. This Vadavasti is explained in the form of Vasti Kundala by Charaka and Madhavadana, but the same reference is explained as Vadavasti by Vagbhata. Vadashtila, we can compare it with that of uh, some experts compare that with that of prostatic hypertrophy. Vada Kundalika, please don't confuse Vada Kundalika with that of Vasti Kundala. These are two different pathologies. In Vada Ashtila, there is a Granthi, but in Vada Kundalika, the Granthi is not told, but Vada itself, in its Amurta form, forms as a Kundalika. So, this is again some type of a neurogenic bladder. Mutradida is nothing but a hesitancy. Mutra Jadra is a distended bladder. Mutrotsanga, mainly stricture in the bladder neck or urethra. Mutra Granthi is a mass inside the bladder. Mutra Shukram is nothing but a spermaturia. Vidvighadam can be considered as rectovesical fistula. Ushnavada can be considered as cystitis or erosive cystitis. Mutrakshaya can be considered as oliguria. Mutrasada can be considered as an inflammatory pathology that is happening in the area above the bladder, maybe in the kidneys. So these are the types of Mutraghata.